human trials are going to be starting. They're slow just because they've been sabotaged in the past with their tissue resources.
Welcome back. This is the final part of the Cody Hurst interview, part two. If you missed part one, please consider going back to watch the first one. What strategies then does your group on, I'm guessing it's on Discord and Reddit, or is it just on Discord?
Yeah, just Discord, and I have a website too that I made, just sort of a rubber
Okay.
mask.
Okay. So, but what strategies do you want your group to utilize to prevent circumcision, or is it to help men who get circumcised and have them receive some kind of counseling? Like, what is like the goal of your group on Discord and your website?
Well, that's a good question. I've been thinking about that. Really, I mean, in the face of seeing the replies to my Reddit post, like, all right, clearly, maybe I was a little bit overt in my Reddit post. So how is it that I can spread the word, build the community in a way that attracts the people that we want with conservative values who sort of align with what I've already talked about, but also doesn't just push people away either. And I think being just a resource for information, just I don't know if a passive approach is the best way in the face of adversity. Being overtly vocal about our views. I think just perhaps just saying we're conservative and just letting that just speak for itself be the catalyst, or just providing a resource like the Discord to just put out straight up information about the effects of circumcision. I know some people have already sort of done that where they've compiled resources on psychology or the after effects or the emotional, psychological, physiological repercussions that perhaps people don't necessarily think about. I don't know if an active campaign would be lucrative. I'm still weighing that. I mean, I've only had the group open for, I don't know, a week or two. So I'm still ironing out the best approach to build the community and spread the word at the same time. I'm just not sure I have the answer to that, especially considering, like you said, the vast majority of the intactivism space is heavily left leaning. So I'm just dipping my toes in the water for the time being and seeing if we can't, you know, attract people with conservative values. And it's hard. It really is, because psychologically the subject messes up a lot of people. I mean, I know I went through a period of just sort of wrapping my mind around what happened to me, especially in my situation where I can't see. So I was like, what the hell you took? What you did? What was like what? It was a slap in the face to me. So I can only imagine um, the emotional and mental and psychological effects other people have had. So yeah, I'm trying to formulate a plan to recruit people. Maybe have a section of the Discord be a support group, just a chat space. I I think just providing straight up resources and information and let people just digest it for themselves might be the best approach. Um,
Okay. Yeah,
you
it
know,
definitely seems like what you're trying to do is almost provide a safe space for conservative intactivists and Republican intactivists, even. Also, just so people know, this is going to be released probably February. So Cody's going to have his Discord up for at least a couple months by the time this gets
oh
released.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's literally Thanksgiving right now. So just so everybody
yeah.
knows. Are you growing pretty quickly though on your Discord? Because it seems like on one side you're like, oh, I'm having issues growing the Discord for conservatives, but it also seems like it would be perfect for, the 25% of intactivists that are actually conservative.
Right now, it's just, I think there's about, upwards of 20 people in the Discord, and a lot of them I've seen elsewhere on other servers as well. So, I mean, my hope is to at least spread the word and try to get other people to come on board and try to do that as delicately, I suppose, as possible. So that's my hope. And I guess that would be the most appropriate term, safe space. I kind of wanted to stray away from that that term, but essentially yes.
So are you guys going to talk about like a bunch of different subjects, like abortion being like it should be abolished and talking about guns and stuff like that? Or are you guys just going to stick to talking about, hey, circumcision is bad and also child sex changes is also bad as well? Or are you just going to stick to like just saying, hey, how can we go ahead and prevent more circumcisions from happening, while also providing a place where like-minded people can be? Like, how's that going to work?
Yeah, I mean it's a good point. I've been initially thinking that we should probably stay on target and just sort of stick to the topic at hand. And obviously there's crossover to other sub issues like religion and stuff like that. But my personal opinion on the whole religion thing is, look, it happens. It doesn't matter what religion does it. I'm no expert on religion, but to me, it doesn't matter what religion does it. It's wrong if it's being done. Period. So I mean, we can debate all day. Well, this over here, and the Old Testament, this, and the New Testament. If it's done, it's wrong. Period. I don't care who says it. If it's done, it's wrong. So getting into the side issues and into the weeds, I don't know that that's necessarily productive. But and as far as the other subjects, I mean, Second Amendment, things like that. I suppose if people want to talk about that, they can. I think just by calling ourselves conservative, sort of says the quiet part out loud without saying the quiet part out loud, if you get what I mean. The more pressing thing that I want to put focus on really is the crossover to the gender affirmation stuff. As big of an issue as circumcision is, I really think we need to deal with the trans stuff first. Because if again, I mean, I really think that issue takes front and center stage, to be honest with you. Because if we can accept that, then how are we ever going to convince people that circumcision, which I mean by comparison is just sort of a lesser issue than completely removing, a child's genitals altogether. I mean, just by comparison, if we can get away with that, well, then who's going to stand up for infants being circumcised? I just we're just furthering the issue, not solving it. You know what I mean?
Okay. So we've talked a lot about how intactivism as a whole is like dropping the ball in your perspective and how they can definitely improve. But what do you like about intactivism in its current form?
Well, we definitely have a lot of passionate people, and I think we all have the same end goal, and I think that's good. We have campaigns and people out there trying to remove misinformation, which is also good, such as removing out of date and incorrect AAP citations. I know circumcision law reform has made an impact, and I think that's a positive. I think that needs to continue. But at the end of the day, we can remove misinformation, and that's fine. That doesn't stop these places from offering that as a service. So I mean, let's just keep that in mind. I think we more intactivists should be on board with sort of pushing for the legislation to be included either by an amendment to the 1996 FGM bill or a bill by itself that sort of mirrors the 1996 bill, or as part of this ongoing push that some of these Republicans are trying to get passed for the gender affirming care for minors. And what I'm hearing is that a lot of these groups that are pushing these bills, they want to make exemptions for circumcision. And I, maybe I'm missing something, but I don't see how, I don't see why. I mean, I guess they use the religious talking point, but I mean, didn't they use that same argument with FGM? But that didn't seem to fly, and that's outlawed. So yeah, I don't know, but no, I think generally speaking, the intactivist movement, I think is making good strides in certain areas. I think mostly in removing misinformation. I think we've definitely made progress there.
Okay, that's awesome. So, do you have a favorite intactivist group that is a formal, like, nonprofit that is like concrete and established?
Well, that's a good question. I do not know a lot about the individual organizations. I'll just be straight up and honest with you. But based on what I know, what little I do know, I think, as I've already mentioned, I think CLR is doing good, and I know Unaltered is sort of doing the same thing, taking the same tactics as CLR, and I think CLR is actually retiring from the intactivism movement. I heard so that's unfortunate,
Yeah, he
but I
said
think
in
he's
December, Christmas Day, I believe he
yeah
said.
Christmas yeah. But as far as that goes, that's about what I can comment on there. Uh, uh, CLR, I know Unaltered is sort of doing that same thing. I know somebody in my Discord, I think was doing some work for Intaction back in the day. I don't want to name drop any individual here, but I've heard they've done some good work at Intaction. I
Well, if
think
they're doing good work, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't want to name drop for reals.
well, so he goes by Pro Male High Tech. I don't know if you know him or not. Um, that's his username on Discord.
Okay, I actually don't.
Um, okay, yeah. Um, I know Saturn Circle Workshop. I don't know if you know him. He's
I know him. Yes, I definitely
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, so there's some good guys out there. I don't know them personally. I just talk to them in passing in the server. They seem to be good dudes. Just trying to spread awareness and remove misinformation. Intact America, I think I made an X handle for CAC and I followed them on X, and I retweet their stuff. Looks like they're doing some decent work, but yeah, I don't want to say anything that I don't not too sure of.
I definitely understand wanting to be correct. So, Cody, where can people follow you if they want to keep up with you and what you're doing?
So you can follow the X handle that I made. It's at real CAC official on X. You can also join the Discord if you'd like. Conservatives Against Circumcision. I can give you an invite that doesn't expire to the Discord, and then also the website conservatives against circumcision.org. And there's actually a Discord invite link there as well that doesn't expire, and a link to the Twitter profile. So yeah, it's just the website's a rubber mask. It's just something I whipped up, but I think it encapsulates sort of what we're doing, or at least what I'm trying to start. And yeah, my goal is to just try to provide, like you said, a safe space for conservative leaning individuals to yeah, to not feel like they're being overrun by what would appear like the populist opinion, but
Yeah, and
we'll
this
have
might,
some.
yeah, and this might definitely be good too because I feel like you'll be able to relate more to the right-leaning people, obviously.
I
And
hope
who
so.
knows? Yeah, maybe you guys can definitely go and change some minds and prevent some circumcisions for sure.
I hope so.
Hey guys, it's me, Pods. I'm briefly interrupting this interview to let you know about the Pods e-commerce program. It is vital to keeping the Prevail over the System channel alive. Go and join us on our Discord to learn more. And best of all, it's free to partake in the Pods e-commerce program, and we don't need any of your information whatsoever. This helps us keep the interviews coming along with other Intactivist content to empower, teach, and update Intactivists with very important information, as well as being the voice for the Intactivist public. Thank you all so much. Okay, now back to the interview. What do you think about Prevail over the System?
I don't know too much about you, but I know you have a channel. You do news updates, and I think that's valuable. I think you're doing a good thing. Just getting the word out there about the latest news and happenings going on. I found your channel because this past summer I was laying in bed and I said, I wonder what Foregen's doing. And so I just typed in Foregen to YouTube, and your channel came up with a video, and I started leaving comments on your channel and came into your Discord, and um, I mean that's a good way of recruiting people for sure, to finding new individuals who might feel some kind of way that perhaps they wouldn't have otherwise found. You know,
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
um,
I'm super
yeah,
happy that the
yeah, it's like an
YouTube
open window to
suggestion.
what's going on. So I think it's good.
Yeah, so what is your opinion also on Forgin? Because you kind of mentioned them a little bit, but then you said you kind of moved away from them. So what's your current opinion on them?
Well, I found them. I found Foregen sort of by accident in 2010 when they were first just a twinkle in Enzo's eye, and it was just sort of this get off the ground kickstart sort of program. And yeah, I stepped away from the whole subject. Just it just it can get to me. I gotta approach the subject with moderation. But no, I donate to Foregen. I joined their Discord, and they've made significant strides. I mean, I know some people are sour on it and a little salty about it, and it'll never come to fruition. And I understand. I get it. I get it. Right? It's taken them so long, and there's been delays, and I understand the hesitation. Some people say Foregen will only allow circumcision to continue because doctors will say, "Oh, well, if they want to reverse it, they can just get Foregen later." I don't necessarily think that's. I think it's a pessimistic way to view it. I think that Foregen's existence, a landmark vocal statement that this is a real problem. There have already been doctors, especially some of the doctors that Foregen has brought on board, that have helped females uh, reconstruct the female genitalia. So it's not just an issue that affects men. I mean, this Foregen is just sort of a focal point, and they are coming along very well. I mean, I don't know if you're in their Discord or pay to be a donor or not, but they do quarterly calls, or I guess biannually calls. They say they do quarterly, but it's really biannually. And I was in on their last conference call with their doctor. Their last conference call is not out yet on YouTube. It will be shortly, but um, I'm pretty pumped. They're coming along very well. Human trials are going to be starting. They're slow just because they've been sabotaged in the past with their tissue resources, their tissue banks, and their vendors, or whatever you want to call them. They've been sabotaged before, so they're really tight-lipped. They don't say anything, and even people within the Foregen Discord are like, "Oh, this will never happen. Yeah, of course, delays. Blah blah." And it's like, I just casually remind them, it's like, bro, like they got to be tight-lipped because of the stuff they've had to put up with. Just be patient. It's going to come to fruition. Just relax. The animal trials are done, and they're finishing up they're actually going to be doing a presentation, a formal presentation on their updated roadmap, the surgical procedure protocol, and human clinical trials and all that stuff moving forward. And they aim to start that in 2025. So I'm pretty positive about it. I'm pumped about it. And yeah, that should be about a year and a half once those trials get started. But obviously, they have to get an ethics approval, things like that. So the logistics just takes time, right? They got to fill out the paperwork, get signatures, and the right hand has to talk to the left. It's government. So I mean, this stuff's gonna, it takes a hot minute. So um, I'm pretty pumped about it. It's what's helped me keep my morale up. It's sort of hard sometimes, but I'm glad Foregen's there. It keeps, I think, a decent portion of guys grounded, and it helps them keep their eye on the prize. So
Okay. So
yeah.
how was Forging sabotaged though in the past?
So based on what Ryan, one of the staff members, has said, is they released information about who their tissue source was, and somehow somebody got that info, some adversary, and started making threats toward their tissue vendor and caused them to lose that tissue source, which just delayed everything because again, there's people that don't like that. There's people that are actively trying to actually reverse this issue, and you know there's bad apples in every bunch, I guess. So that's why they're tight-lipped about what they're doing. So they don't they keep everything on the down low. But yeah, people will take any chance they get to figure out what their sources are, call them, harass them, and who knows what they do, make death threats. I'm sure that's probably in there too. So
Okay. So, Cody, if people had to take one thing from this entire conversation, what would it be?
one main takeaway, I would say, try and what I want to say is keep the radical political ideologies out of the conversation because it derails the overall objective of what we're trying to do. But I can contradict that statement by saying we have to have the conversation because one of the prevalent things we have to address is, as we talked about before, is the gender affirmation care, that whole subject, because I think that really has to be addressed if we want any room to be made on the circumcision front. Anything that belittles the issue, I think, is not constructive to the conversation, and I think keeping the idea and the concept of bodily integrity at the center, at the forefront, and human rights at the forefront, and just understanding that children are human too, right? That they don't have a voice, they can't speak up for themselves, and so parents need to be understand the issue from all angles, and I think that's what needs to be front and center. And yeah, I'm sort of not the greatest at crystallizing this without being so overt about my own position on it, but yeah, just to try to keep the issue front and center, and whatever issues that overshadow circumcision as a whole, like gender affirming care, I think it needs to be dealt with first and foremost.
Okay, a quick question
You
about
know,
that.
mm-hmm.
So, why doesn't the anti-trans movement or the anti-transitioning movement, why is it that they don't support intactivism? Because I know a lot of intactivists that have told me that, oh, hey, POTS, what we need to do is get the anti-trans movement into intactivism, and they will totally go and help us with their movement. And then they report back to me, oh, they're not interested at all in protecting baby boys from circumcision. So why do you think that is?
Well, I guess that's twofold. Number one is, like we were saying before, with the anti-trans sort of procedures on children legislation, there might be they might be making exemptions because of religious reasons. I don't really know, but the other aspect to that as well is some of these people that are part of the anti-trans movement for children, that they're going to be attacked. Well, you're this phobic and that phobe and this phobe, and you're instantly labeled as a hater or some sort of whatever term that they like to throw out, right? Because they don't want to hear your side of it. They just know, oh, you're anti-trans, for kids. So you must hate trans people. You must hate gay people. You're this phobe. You're that phobe. And it's like, no, that's not true necessarily. We just want you to leave our kids alone. We're not saying we hate people who are trans. That's not what I'm saying. And we don't hate gay people. That's not what we're saying. If you're gay, if you're trans, you can have a position, but leave your personal stance on trans topics. Like it's not relevant to the conversation unless you're trying to prevent that from happening to children. But you can't have that conversation because as soon as you do and you bring it up, they just attack you for it. So that's the struggle that I think conservatives are having, and why I'm having a little bit of difficulty figuring out the strategy to spread the message as a whole. So that would be my take on the situation.
Okay, so another question. This Have you brought this issue up to any intactivist group that is very like mainstream intactivist group before?
Not yet. This is, like I said, something brand new to me, and I probably will reach out. I have to really hone in on my messaging, how I'm going to do that. I mean, I could send out emails, I could send out, whatever, or join some of these Reddit groups. That's something I'm still working on, and maybe some folks can give me pointers on that. I haven't really reached out to big organizations, intactivist organizations, just yet.
Okay. Well, Cody, thank you for being on POTS, and I definitely appreciate your time.
Sure.
Uh, yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to say to our audience before I let you go?
Happy Thanksgiving. Although by the time they see this, probably won't be Thanksgiving. Happy New Year. Happy
Yeah.
Valentine's Day,
Yeah,
maybe.
probably Valentine's Day, actually. So happy Valentine's
So,
Day, guys. Okay, that was Cody Hurst, part two. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll put his links down in the description below so you can go ahead and give him a follow. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our other interviews and other Intactivist content that we will release every single week. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. Please share and like this video to get this out to more people. Bye!